Level up your LA Kings experience with the new Vivid Seats Elite Seats. All the on-ice Kings action with even more exclusive access. Enjoy great seats to the game along with premier dining inside the Lexus Club with all-you-can-eat food and non-alcoholic beverages. Plus, get a free Team LA Kings item and parking with your purchase. Score your Vivid Seats Elite Seats tickets today and earn rewards on each purchase from the only ticket company that rewards you for buying. Experience it live with Vivid Seats, the official partner of the LA Kings.
You're listening to an LA Kings podcast. For more episodes of this and every other Kings program, visit lakings.com/podcast.
You're listening to All the Kings Men, the official podcast of the LA Kings. Now, here's your host, Jesse Cohen.
All right, welcome back to another summer episode of All the Kings Men. We've done the top 50 Kings of all time. We've had a conversation about the way technology has changed the media and changes the way stories are told. Today we're going to talk about hockey movies. Joining us, a man with far more experience than Zach or I in television and film, Isaiah Mustafa. How are you doing today, Isaiah?
I'm great. Just jumped off a plane.
Yeah,
I got cabin
from
throat.
filming, right?
Yeah, yeah. We wrapped up our second season of Cross. First season, may I promote?
Yeah, please.
First season airs November 14th on Prime. Check it out.
All right, and it's Cross.
Yeah, Cross.
All right,
I'm going to buy Prime specifically for that show.
There's no chance you don't already have Amazon Prime.
I have Amazon Prime, but I don't have the Prime, the TV
Prime
component.
Video?
Yeah.
Isn't that part of it?
No.
They're separate, right?
Yeah, they're separate.
yeah.
Oh, I think I'm paying for... All right. Anyway, we're going to talk about the top... I'm not going to put a number on it because I struggled to come up with 10 hockey movies. Well, I know you have like 40 10. Or something.
Well, and I had to pare it down to 10. I had a bunch, and then I have some different category honorable mentions.
All right. Well,
Same.
for me, there's a best, there's a second tier, there's a third tier, and then there's a bunch of other stuff. So right off the hop, though, I want to make it clear we're not doing documentaries, right?
Okay, so that was my question. I was going to ask you about that because I included 2 documentaries, but I also left them off. At which point I would have to include sequels, which I did not include.
Oh, okay. Well, which documentaries did you include for starters?
Black Ice and Red Army.
I don't think I've actually seen either.
Okay. So I'll keep
Honorable mentions documentaries.
Yeah.
Sounds like Black Ice and Red Army.
Yeah, that's what it would have been.
Yeah.
I've seen. I think it's called The Five Russians. I think I've seen that one.
The Russian Five.
Yeah, thank you, the Russian Five. And I've seen all the ESPN 30 for 30s on various hockey teams. But
okay.
Thoughts on Black Ice and Red Army?
Yeah. I'll they're in there though, so I'll leave them on my list because they're fairly good. They're good movies. I mean, you've seen them, right?
I'm going to
I've
lean
seen
on
Red
you
Army. I have not seen
to sort
Black
of steer
Ice.
this because you have way more.
Oh,
so what are your categories for starters?
Okay, so the honorable mentions are just movies that have hockey in them that they aren't necessarily hockey movies. And so there's Touch and Go with Michael Keaton back in the day. There's Strange Brew, where the hockey was, Love Guru. Lethal Weapon 2, which the Kings are in.
Yeah.
We'll go Happy Gilmore, of course.
Just to pick nits, The Love Guru, while not a great film, is about hockey.
Yeah. I'll give you that, but it didn't make the 10.
No.
But it does star Rob Blake.
Yeah. It's fun. It's a funny movie. I have a buddy of mine who did the stunt skating for Romney Malco.
Okay.
Yeah. So and he's up in Toronto. I think that's it though. I think that's all for my my honorable mentions. Yeah.
All right. So you had documentaries, honorable mentions.
Yeah, and then
not doing sequels.
Not doing sequels. I Goon 2 almost made it.
Yeah.
But shout out to Wyatt Russell. I'm sorry. I loved him in that movie, but I just didn't do sequels. Otherwise, I would have put Goon 2 in there.
Not even D2?
Oh, no, definitely not D2.
Oh, this might get contentious.
Yeah.
Ways up the list for me.
D2's not bad, but it didn't make it. Did not make it. In fact, only one, the Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks.
Let's get started then.
All right,
Shall
let's
we?
do it. Sure.
Can I kick a couple honorable mentions in there?
Yeah.
Before we get going?
I love
'Cause,
it. Go ahead, Zach.
I'd like to add Swingers to that list when they're playing NHL 94. They're talking about Gretzky on the... Yep.
Pull up.
Swingers has to be in there.
Roll up.
Roll up. And one more honorable mention, which is way off the board, is Threat Level Midnight, a Michael Scott production featuring one of the greatest hockey players in the world, Michael Scarn, Not a movie about hockey, but a movie featuring hockey for sure.
Deep cut.
Yeah.
Deep cut. Had to get it in there.
So if I think of movies that have hockey in it but aren't about hockey, I've got to say Batman and Robin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Inside Out 2,
Okay.
which I do
Yeah,
not
for
believe
sure.
to be a hockey movie, but it definitely, hockey is a pivotal part of the story.
Now that you say that, we can put in The Running Man if you want to, if you want to, I mean.
I know we're going to go to Wayne's World too. Like, to TOO, not Wayne's World, the sequel. But the,
I mean,
all right.
game on.
Yeah. All right. So that's, I think we've covered our honorable mentions.
Okay.
Oh, and the Tooth Fairy, which Zach, I think, insinuated
was-
last week was a.
First
Tooth Fairy is a hockey movie. I just wouldn't have it in my top 10 of hockey movies.
No,
Yeah.
goodness, no.
I don't think it's a hockey movie, but all right.
Yeah, I'm good with that one now. All right, so shall I start?
Yes,
or do you guys want to start? What do you
Take it away.
Okay, so I'm coming in at number 10. The Mighty Ducks.
Wow.
Yeah, I put it at 10. It barely made the list, by the way.
Wow.
Okay.
I had mine further down, but it definitely is higher.
Definitely higher than 10 for me.
Yeah.
It is the Bad News Bears of hockey movies, but Disney. That's why it doesn't get any lower, and that's why it barely made the cut. Director Stephen Herrick. He also directed Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Great movie.
And Mr. Holland's Opus.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It's just your basic, this guy has, community service. He has to coach a hockey team, and suddenly he coaches them to become good players. I mean, it's simple.
Good enough to beat the Hawks.
Yeah.
How in the state of Minnesota are there only 6 teams in the
Right.
entire state? The state of hockey.
D5 was a very, or was it D5 or anyway?
I like the Bad News Bears. The guy was like a degenerate, but in this movie, because it's Disney, he's a lawyer.
Yeah,
It's true.
And isn't his community service assigned because he gets a DUI?
Yeah.
Not sure that holds up.
Right. Right.
But anyway.
Pushing that PG rating.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to go down the list of 10s or?
Well, so I don't have 10.
Okay, so you want to hear all 10?
Well, no, we're
I have 10.
yeah.
Oh,
so
okay,
you'll
okay.
you do your 10. He'll give his 10, and I'll do the bottom of my list.
I just feel like Isaiah's 10 is going to be a lot deeper than my
Yeah.
10.
I don't
If He's
know.
got Mighty Ducks at 10.
I don't know.
I'm going with a truly terrible movie, but one that has a good memory for me,
Yeah.
and that is MVP, Most Valuable Primate. Because when I was like a kid, I still remember going to Blockbuster with my parents, selecting this movie as like a 9-year-old, getting my cookie dough bites as candy. We went home and watched it, and my parents had to be sitting there like, what is this garbage?
Right.
But I'm sitting there like, this guy's unreal. Like, look at him out there popping around the ice. He was nasty. Great memories from MVP, Most Valuable Primate.
I'm digging
I
it.
have 9 movies, and that is my 9th movie. Zach and I talked about the fact that we both needed to refresh our memories of some of these films. I watched about 5 minutes of MVP last night.
Okay.
Or at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And decided that sleeping was more valuable than
I had a
watching
similar-
the rest of MVP.
I had a very similar thing. I thought, should I do it on the plane? And I was like, no, I can't do it.
For those watching who may not be familiar, MVP is the Air Bud of hockey movies. It's about a primate who plays hockey.
That's too much.
That's
I'm going to keep my 8-year-old memory of it
Yeah.
because it's only downhill from there, right? Like
Okay.
it definitely is going to get worse if I watch it as an adult.
I turned it off.
Fair enough. All right. Coming in at number 9 is, I know you guys are going to hate me for this, but Youngblood,
Oh, okay.
number 9.
I don't hate you
All
for
right.
that.
All right. So we got Patrick Swayze, who my friend calls Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, and a first appearance of Keanu Reeves.
That's right.
Who has a horrible French Canadian accent, but it's still funny. Let's see here. Who directed this one? Nope, he didn't direct it. That was somebody else. This one is basically junior hockey players. Swayze dies. Didn't get hit in the back of the head or something like that.
Oh, spoiler alert. Come on.
Sorry. I mean, I don't think anybody's getting past Rob Lowe. So you know what I mean.
That's true. That's true.
That's him and his Brat Pack prime. It's a decent movie. It's okay, better than Mighty Ducks. It's really heavy in hockey. Like it's like a hockey heavy movie. You get a lot of, you get to learn a little bit about the junior leagues and what he wants to do to become pro, and then the rivalries and whatnot. Also injuries on the ice. But it just it's early 80s, 84, I think, and it just doesn't hold up to today. So
That's fair.
not many memorable lines from that movie.
I'm debating how much I want to go into my Youngblood opinions now or when it comes up on my list.
Oh, well, if it's your opinions, maybe your list.
Well,
or no?
I'm going to do it now because it's the opinions apply to most of the movies on all these lists.
Okay.
The takeaway from me from watching Youngblood is it ends with a fight.
Okay.
And listen, I get it. We're all hockey fans. Fighting is a part of hockey's history.
Yes.
But there's definitely a worldview where hockey is only about fighting. And, there's the joke, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out.
Yeah.
And I can remember being a kid and Luc Robitaille went on the Arsenio Hall show and I was very excited because Luc Robitaille was my favorite player. And he has him on and Arsenio Hall, gets fighting lessons from Robitaille.
Okay.
And I was like, really? Really? The 60 goal scoring, never been in a fight in his career guy? We have this one chance for him to get mainstream attention and it's just about fighting. So the fact that Youngblood ends in was it his brother? I think is played by Patrick Swayze.
No,
it's just his best friend.
It's like his mentor.
He was the mentor player. Yeah.
And he teaches him to fight. And then the culmination of the entire movie is that Youngblood not only scores the game-winning goal, but also wins the fight.
Right.
I was like, okay. It's this is just too much.
Yeah. See, that's why it's 9 for me.
All right, fair enough.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair. 9 for me. Another youth movie is HE Double Hockey Sticks.
Wow. You went
Deep cut. Disney Channel original.
Unfamiliar.
It's actually shocking how many Disney Channel original movies featured hockey. There was Johnny Tsunami, I feel was roller skating, right? And then it had Johnny Tsunami was surfing. What was there was a roller skating Brink.
Oh,
It was
man.
Brink. There was Go Figure. And
That one
there is HE Double Hockey Sticks, which, to sum it up, it's basically the plot of Damn Yankees with the cast of Boy Meets World. And that's pretty much all you need to know about it.
right.
It is literally the plot of Damn Yankees, where a promising player sells his soul to the devil, but it's the brothers from Boy Meets World are the cast.
Okay.
And it's not very good, but like you, I was struggling at the bottom of the list, and I came up with HE Double Hockey Sticks, starring Will Friedle.
Wow. Okay.
In 9 and 8, I have in no particular order Mighty Ducks 2 and 3.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Because
Explain this to me.
Well, I'll
please.
get to the Mighty Ducks when it comes up on the list, but the Mighty Ducks is an actual movie. If you could show it to any child, any young adult, any adult, it's a self-contained story. It makes sense. The outrageous elements of the story are just a sports movie.
Okay.
But D2 is a cartoon.
Yeah. You're right.
They go around the country, they find a kid that lassos people on the ice.
We'll get to D2 for me. I'm a
It's-
D2 truther.
D2 and D3 are just, and they're fine, they're great, and they're sequels, and
Truther.
people love them, but they're cartoons.
You're right.
And-
Even the trailer. You
Yeah,
can
and
tell.
the Mighty Ducks is a real movie. D2 and D3 are sequels to the Mighty Ducks, and this one's for Zach. So a friend of mine just came back from a 3-week-long trip to Iceland, and he said that apparently Icelanders are very shy, I guess, or they're not talkative, they're not outgoing. So he made it his personal mission to get somebody from Iceland to check, just to make small talk with him.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to buy a bunch of extra clothing because they didn't factor into the temperature change and the weather and everything. So they're at the store, they're buying the stuff, and he finally gets one of the clerks to make small talk with him. And the guy asks him if he's a hockey fan. He says, yeah. He says, who's your team? He says, the LA Kings. And the guy says, that's the wrong answer. And before he could finish the story, I said, oh, because Iceland D3, right?
Yeah.
And yes, the most
my
popular
gosh.
team in Iceland is apparently the Mighty Ducks.
Wow.
Oh my god.
So-
Oh my god. I'm never going back to Iceland.
Well, what I learned is that Greenland is covered with ice and Iceland is very nice.
And isn't
Per
the
Mighty Ducks
isn't the
too.
other team is it D2 or D3 where they play? It's D2, right? Where they play Iceland?
Yeah.
And isn't the other country Trinidad and Tobago?
They are also in the tourney. Yeah, they
so
qualify.
Okay.
global hockey powerhouses Iceland and Trinidad and Tobago.
I wonder who
That's why those
suggested
movies are 8th and 9th on my list.
Okay.
Oh man. All right. So we coming in number 8 then?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I have number 8 is Red Army.
Okay.
And it's a
Okay.
documentary, and basically it's just a documentary about the Soviet hockey team through the years of, I believe, I'm going to say 1940s through like the 80s, and up until some of their players started coming to the States and playing in the NHL. It's a great documentary. It just kind of gives you an idea of how entrenched the government was in their hockey program. Gabe Polsky was the director. Sony Picture Classics put the movie out. Actually, at Luke's charity skate in 2014. They screened the movie there for us before it came out. So that's where I first saw it. Yeah, it was awesome. Tom Bernard over at Sony Picture Classics screened it for us. Thanks to him. And it's a great movie. It's just like really, really informative, but it can be a little depressing at times. so just a fair warning.
That's fair. It was really well done. I did see that one. I did like it. That whole Soviet Red Army team is very interesting to me as like a hockey fan. The concept of that team and what they did and the whole army situation, but they weren't really like how they carried it. It was just fascinating.
Yeah, the politics of it all.
It was very, very interesting to see
heavy,
how that
though.
was run. Yeah,
it gets at some parts. So
it did.
Yeah, it's no MVP.
And your number 8, Zach.
I went with Goon 2 here.
Ooh.
I went with Goon 2. First actual movie on my list after the MVP and Disney Channel original movie. I thought it was second best of the Goon movies. Okay. Of the two. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed a few of the things in it, but I didn't like it as much as Goon or as much as some of the other movies on the list. However, admittedly, this was one I had not seen at all hadn't seen in full until this weekend.
Okay.
Then was like, crap, I got to watch this thing. And it wasn't as high as some of the other ones for me.
I did not watch it, so I do have a question for you. I've seen clips of it here and there, but I haven't seen the whole thing through. Does Liev Schreiber, does he become the teacher? Does he teach Stifler how to how to fight?
He already knew. But he definitely in the first movie he's the antagonist. In the second movie he becomes the mentor.
It's like an Apollo Creed Rocky situation.
That's exactly what I was
kind of where Apollo becomes the good guy. Yeah.
Okay, I get that. Okay. Jay Baruchel wrote that.
Also on the topic of Liev Schreiber.
Yeah.
Best narrator in documentary history.
For sure. He's got a good.
What a guy. What a voice.
Baritone, yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
So we're going to skip me because I did Ducks 2 and 3, so you're 7.
So I'm 7? Okay. This one's tough. This is a tough one, but I and I'll be honest with you, you got to lock in because it's all subtitles. So it's
Ooh, okay.
Les Boys.
Okay.
All right. So it's an amazing movie. If you play men's league hockey, you'll but it's also dated because it's 97, so there's a lot of stuff going on that is probably not appropriate today. But it's a pretty good movie about how guys come together and what men's league hockey is all about leaving all your troubles or whatever that you got going on to come together and kind of being a team with your boys. Let's see who directed this. Director was. His last name is my name without the I or the H. It's Louis Saya.
As you were saying that, I'm looking at the name going like, wow, that's a stretch. But all right, you got it.
Yeah, but it's kind of like Major League in like men's league hockey because they have to come together to win this league in order to save like the local bar, I believe, or something.
Do you know the first credited person on the Wikipedia starring list?
Who is it?
Marc Messier.
Okay.
With a C.
Yeah. French Marc Messier?
Yeah.
That's my 7 though.
All right.
Actual movie too, but so fun fact. So in Quebec, it like I think everyone in Quebec saw it, and I think Luke told me this. Everyone in Quebec saw this movie, and it made like tons of money, and and so much so that the guy made like 4 of them.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I've actually talked to the guy who wrote this, and he's an interesting guy. I mean, he'll talk to you for a minute about this movie, like 4 hours.
We'll have to ask Phil Deneau. That'll be a Phil Deneau locker room
for
question
sure.
because I had not heard of that nor seen it. So that's
I was
that's one for
stunned
the
to
list.
see Les Boys and Les Boys 2 on the Wikipedia list of hockey movies.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar. Your number 7, Zach?
So I had Youngblood at 7.
Okay.
We've gone over Youngblood. Rob Lowe's hair alone, I feel like moves that up a couple spots, right? Like, great set of hair on a young Rob Lowe. So for all the reasons you guys mentioned, it's not all that great of a hockey movie, but Rob Lowe's hair kept it on the list for sure.
It's like a great set of hair.
Great set of hair on that man.
You guys with great sets of hair don't think about it. But those of us, some of us, it matters.
You got me crying.
I went with Goon 2.
Uh-oh.
I went with Goon.
Goon.
Last of the Enforcers.
Okay, yeah, that is the actual title of the movie.
And Zach, you just watched it recently?
Yeah, well, I did not watch the entirety of. I had
All right.
seen pieces. I watched other pieces. And
So
now I
correct
feel like
me
I've
if
seen
I'm
the whole
wrong,
movie.
but to me, Goon: Last of the Enforcers is a Wyatt Russell. It's like his character is the actual story being told, and because Goon exists, we can just bring back Doug Glatt and sort of crowbar in this new hockey story we want to tell in the Goon universe.
Now I got to see it. Yeah.
But it's great. Wyatt Russell's great. I think so.
Most of the clips
I
I've
like
seen
Wyatt Russell a lot.
is of him berating like his teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not a particularly likable character, at least through most of the film.
Yeah, agree.
But it's more, his character has more of an arc than Stifler's.
Okay.
It kind of feels exactly what you said, right?
Yeah.
It's like they wanted to make this other movie, but they kept it in the Goon family and brought
Probably
back
to
like
make-
Jay Baruchel's still kind of in it, and like
There's no way you'd get to tell the story of, I forget Wyatt Russell's character's name. I could probably look it up.
I like
makes sense to put him in the Goon universe.
Yeah, but you can make a sequel to Goon,
Yeah.
and tell this story. And so anyway,
Jay
I think
Baruchel's
it's-
character is my favorite because he's like the everyman. He's just like
Classic,
Like,
yeah.
he's like the guy that's like, "Are you kidding me? You got to do what?" Like
Yeah.
you know?
And I actually quite enjoy the stuff with his wife,
Yeah.
Doug Stifler's wife,
Right.
where she's sort of struggling with
yeah,
being
yeah.
married to a goon
I-
in
so-
a minor league hockey world.
I read this someplace, but I'll wait. Actually, I'll wait because it applies to Goon more so than the
Okay.
Goon
All right.
Okay, so we're on number 6.
Yep.
All right, number 6. This is a good one. Mystery Alaska. All right. Oh, he laughs. He laughs at me. Okay. Directed by Jay Roach, who also directed. He directed both Austin Powers and then jumped to Meet the Parents. No, both Austin Powers, Mystery
Didn't he
Alaska.
do all three of the Austin Powers?
He
Yeah.
did, and then he went to Meet the Parents also.
Okay.
Let's see. So you got Russell Crowe, you got Burt Reynolds. Small town team goes big. But what's the guy say? He says, "I
come bearing the New York Rangers."
Yeah.
I watched that
Hank
last night.
Azaria.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that I dug it. I liked it. You know, I mean, I was into it. It reeks of like something like 90s something.
That's the perfect phrase for it.
Yeah,
90 something.
Yeah, it just has that heavy 90s feel, like almost like you it's so formulaic, you know, to that you just like, oh, you know this is gonna happen, you know this is gonna happen. And then Russell Crowe gives a nice speech and gets his boys all revved up.
I'm not tired. Is anybody else here tired? Yeah.
That's my number 6.
So before we move on, we're going to get into this because I did not put it on my list because
You did not have Mystery Alaska on the list.
I'm going to once again reference this. I have this reputation for not liking things and for being negative.
No.
I hate Mystery
I see all the
Alaska.
guys behind the camera nodding
I
at that right now.
hate Mystery Alaska.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember precisely why. So sat down last night, was like, you know what? I'm going to watch this just to make sure that I remember all the things I remember. And yeah, it didn't make my list.
Okay.
Probably one of the largest reasons, and I've had this conversation with lots of people, I don't think hockey is cinematic in the way other sports are. I don't think it necessarily lends itself to movie storytelling.
Okay.
And the examples that I would give to support that are Youngblood ends with a fight, Slapshot ends with the game devolving into chaos. Mighty Ducks 1 ends with a penalty shot. Mighty Ducks 2 ends with a shootout. Like all of the games end in these preposterous ways that almost never end important hockey games.
Okay.
Mystery Alaska ends with the goalie pulled, which is actually something that could happen. But the final shot that I forget the character's name now, but the guy that winds up signing with the Binghamton. Jeez, I can't talk today.
Stevie?
No, the older
Connor?
one. It's two guys signed minor league contracts.
Yeah,
It's the
those two.
older
Yeah,
of the two.
yeah.
The town's greengrocer is their leading scorer, for God's sakes.
That was what did it for you. It wasn't the fact that the
No.
New York Rangers flew to Alaska to play on a pond.
Listen, the
That
Kings
wasn't-
flew to Australia last
know
year,
it.
and they're flying to Quebec this year, and they went to China 6-7 years ago, whatever it was. People go wacky places. The game ends. They're up 5. They're down 5-3. The mystery team is. The town's greengrocer, the leading scorer, winds up alone at the top of the zone with nothing but space between him and the goalie, and he winds up for a slap shot. That is deemed the best possible chance to tie this game. They show 5 seconds on the clock, and it takes, I timed it because 30 seconds of actual film elapsed between the time you see the clock show 5 seconds and the time he takes the shot. And as the puck is traveling from his stick to hit the crossbar, spoiler alert, they don't tie the game, they lose. How long does it take for a shot to hit the crossbar, Zach?
Less than 30 seconds
Right.
from my recollection.
It takes like a blink of an eye, and everybody goes,
Milliseconds.
"Oh!" But in this case, they had time for reaction shots
Right.
from every player on the ice.
Right.
All the mayor in the stands, the mayor's wife who's sleeping with Skank, the guy on the team who sleeps with the entire town, the high school kid, the Rangers players, Burt Reynolds, like everybody gets their 3 seconds to do a reaction shot in this 30-second.
Maybe it was a comedic touch for the director. He is a comedy director, so maybe he did that just so that you could laugh.
And as long as we're on the topic, I'm watching the game and I'm like, they make a big point of whether or not they're playing on a pond or with boards, right? Because if they're on the pond, well, gosh, the Mystery Alaska boys can, whatever. It's,
I mean,
the glass disappears and reappears as needed for the moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna say budget cuts.
There's a scene where Russell Crowe checks a guy over the boards, no glass. Earlier in the game, he himself is checked hard
up against the
into,
glass.
and everyone screams at. And this is a whole other thing, but like playing on a pond with no boards, no glass. Zach, back me up on this. There's a million shots where somebody takes a shot and the goalie makes a glove save. What is not in any of the shots is the 1,000 times that guys take shots, miss the net, and the puck goes
what's the protocol there?
sailing
Yeah.
100 yards into the ice and
the-
snow. The game shuts down and everybody has to go trudge out there looking
there
for
are
the
some
puck.
inconsistencies.
Right.
I'll give you that.
Right,
But
right.
like, how is the ending any different than Mighty Ducks 2? Triple deke where the guy dekes 3 times in the
And they
neutral
switch-
zone,
and they
stops
switch
at
the
the
goalie
blue
and
line,
the
rips
sh-
a
and-
clapper, and somehow no one can see that the puck's in her glove. Like
D2 lower on
there's
the list than
18,000
Mystery
people.
Or actually,
in
no,
the-
that's not true.
That-
Mystery Alaska
didn't-
didn't make my list. Dynamite performances from the cast.
Yes,
Really great.
yes.
But just silly movie. Didn't like it.
Didn't do well either. Actually, when it came out,
Not shocked.
Yeah.
Although the song that plays over the closing credits, "Love You Till the End" by the Pogues,
Okay.
Dynamite song, and made me go down a Pogues.
Pogues
YouTube
are good.
Rabbit hole.
YouTube rabbit hole at like 3 a.m. So
Fair enough.
that was nice. Anyway,
Even saving that one up for a while, huh?
actually just
Wow. Well,
just last night.
I hope that number 5 will put a smile on your face.
So where are we at? Number 6. I
yeah,
think.
you're at 6. I
All
think.
right.
I had Mighty Ducks.
Okay.
Original.
Yeah,
At number 6.
I do too.
Heartwarming story for me.
Not a fan.
Heartwarming story for me. But look, this was in my childhood, right?
Okay.
Like it was this. These were the movies that I was watching as a kid, as I was like starting to play hockey. Too many like niche, corny characters for me. You talk about D2 having them. I thought D1 had 5 times the number of niche, corny characters, and they trimmed the fat for D2. But then they added the lasso fella, who
Yeah.
was admittedly probably a bit
need
of a
that guy.
misfit. The least realistic part for me of D1, other than the fact that there were 6 teams at the Pee Wee level in the entire state of Minnesota, was that he took his helmet off to take the penalty shot.
Right. Sure.
He like gets there, he takes the helmet off. I was like, this is a security risk. like USA Hockey Insurance is not covering this. Like the kid, like what if he fell? Like
Show him the face.
he no longer has a helmet on. Like that's the whole point of wearing it.
Maybe I've gotten more used to it because now we have more superhero movies. But the idea of the star removing headgear in order for you to see their face, I'm now just used to it. Like in the Endgame, spoilers for those who have not seen Marvel's Avengers Endgame, but when all the characters are brought back from the dead and they all show up for that big thing, and all of them remove their masks or helmets just for the 3 seconds.
Gotta see who they
They're like,
are.
oh yeah, Tom
That's
Holland. Chris Pratt. I
you
forgot
get a
about all
fine
these.
for
Yeah, that's right. We got Tom Holland back for this one.
You get a fine for that in the NFL. I was lucky enough to play on the practice squad for the Tennessee Titans, actually the Tennessee Oilers at the time. And this guy, Josh Evans, he was a defensive lineman. His helmet got knocked off on accident. So he knew that you would get a fine if you took it off, but it got knocked off. So his got knocked off on a sack. He sacked somebody, and so he ran around like parading around with his helmet off.
This is most FaceTime anyone in the league's gonna get.
Yeah, you got your
And
FaceTime.
And our coach, he put a picture of it because the newspaper like took a picture. He put a picture of it on the overhead, and he's like, "That's a look at me guy."
So I think I probably agree with your sentiment about Mighty Ducks more than Zach does.
Thank you.
However, I think the Mighty Ducks played a way bigger role in popularizing the sport in the United States than Wayne Gretzky coming to LA did. And I've had this fight with Jim Fox hundreds of times now.
I can't disagree with that.
Mighty Ducks probably doesn't get made if Wayne Gretzky doesn't come to LA, because the guy who wrote and made the Mighty Ducks was reminded of his love affair with hockey by the trade. But everybody says like Gretzky came to LA and that meant Carolina and Florida and Dallas and et cetera. And I go, there was no cable, there was no internet. The kids in the southern markets were not watching the LA Kings clamoring for more hockey. the Mighty Ducks movie came out.
Yeah.
And suddenly kids like Zach, although you lived in a hockey area, but suddenly hockey became familiar in markets where it previously wasn't. It was an incredibly popular movie, at least that's my recollection.
I think my disdain for the Ducks in general
fair
probably
totally
prevents that movie from ever cracking the top
totally
8.
fair.
Like for me, but like I'll move it to 9. but
I mean, as far as like kids sports movies go,
yeah,
it's great. The kids are great. Goldberg the goalie, quack quack quack, Mr. Ducksworth.
Yeah, it's good.
You know,
I can't say I didn't like chuckle a couple times when I watched it. I was like, all right, it got me. But you know,
and the kids that played the character, like who plays Charlie?
Joshua Jackson.
Actually, the rest of his life, will be Charlie Conway.
I think he's outgrown it. Like one of like 2, like him and Keenan, who wasn't in Mighty Ducks 1, but was in 2 and 3.
Yeah. I don't think Keenan's outgrown it. He was just on Seth Meyers giving him a Ducks jersey.
It's funny.
So maybe he's like, back in.
Like that's where I first saw Keenan. Yeah.
So, all right. Number 5 for you.
Number 5. Yeah,
number
Are
5.
you ready?
So we're in the top 5 now.
We're in the top 5.
Because here we go.
All right.
Cracking the top 5. I will battle anybody. Sudden Death.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Director Peter Hyams also directed Time Cop.
Of course he did.
And Running Scared.
Oh, wow.
All right. What can't you say about this? It's Jean-Claude Van Damme. Come on, man. Like, you got penguin fight scenes with Iceberg. He gives him red pepper flakes gives her red pepper flakes to knock her back, and then the dishwasher death. I mean, come on. This is amazing. What else? Oh. And it had the quintessential suspended belief of reality in those 90s action movies. You had to suspend your belief. You had to be like, all right, I guess that could happen. You know what I mean? Like, especially with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
But there's one particular moment that is the most absurd moment out of any of these movies. No.
Okay, what's that?
It's when Jean-Claude Van Damme suits up as the goalie and makes a save in game 7 of the Stanley Cup
that's
final.
The part where you have to suspend your belief, because he goes in and he goes right to the bench. Yep. He doesn't go to his net. He goes right to the bench. And they're like, "You ready? What are you doing?" They get out there and he just nods and nobody sees his face. Right. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
for those who are unfamiliar with the plot of Sudden Death, and it's my number 4 movie. So,
okay.
It also features heavily Luc Robitaille.
Yeah.
Luc Robitaille has speaking lines and scores the game-tying goal that prevents the Vice President of the United States of America and all of his traveling party from being blown up by Powers Booth.
This feels like the plot of the hockey scene in Threat Level Midnight.
It's probably where he took it from.
I wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah. Jean-Claude Van Damme plays a fire marshal,
former
disgraced former fire marshal,
right,
who somehow gets his kids into game 7?
I think it is game,
of the Stanley Cup final against the Blackhawks and the Penguins. Powers Booth plays a terrorist who kidnaps the vice president in a luxury suite with blacked out windows so nobody can see what's happening for some reason.
Right.
Plants bombs all over the arena, threatens to detonate the building if a certain amount of money isn't transferred to his account by the end of the game. And of course, Luc Robitaille ties the game at the end of the 3rd period to force sudden death overtime, which then buys everybody a little bit of extra time for Jean-Claude Van Damme to kill one of the terrorists while dressed like the Pittsburgh Penguins mascot. I'm ruining the movie.
It's so like the part where she comes out of the elevator and like he's sitting there. There's so much time for him to be killed at that point. Like the gun is grabbed, the mascot grabs the gun, and then like just points it. There's so much time, and finally Van Damme just does his thing, and gets after it.
It's peak '90s action movie.
Best.
Totally woven into the Stanley Cup Finals.
Obviously, Peter Hyams liked Van Damme enough to do another one with him. Time Cop. He's like, we got to do another one.
Yeah.
I think he did 3 with him, actually.
Oh, wow. I don't love a lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, but that one, didn't he do one with Dennis Rodman too?
He did.
Yeah.
Double Take.
Yeah. I think I watched that on HBO in the middle of the night.
I remember hearing all about Double Take on the Chicago Bulls Last Dance documentary.
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman just left and filmed it.
Yeah.
So number 5 for you, Zach.
I hope I'm not throwing off the podcast. I have not seen Sudden Death.
Oh,
so Jesse was spoiling the movie for me, but I will still be happy to watch it.
You within 5 minutes of the movie starting, you know.
I've already seen the entire
you know
movie
what's
kind of
gonna
thing.
happen. It's a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
You're in for a treat, though.
Yeah.
So 5 for me, I had D2,
Okay.
Mighty Ducks, which I believe is the best of the 3 Mighty Ducks movies.
Okay.
Wolf the Dentist Stanson is an all-time Disney villain for me. Elite child movie villain. He just played the part very well. Thought he was a great antagonist. Some inconsistencies, like the players seem to shoot left in one scene and then right in the next scene. There are a lot of problems, for sure. They also seem to cap the rosters at 12 skaters.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he can't play because we already have 12 guys. Like, okay, I think they could find a spot for him. Like, they could just use, a fifth defenseman and easily get everybody in. A lot of inconsistencies, but I find it to be a fun movie. I really enjoyed it, and I had it at fifth. I don't know if it's that good of a movie, but I enjoyed the movie.
You guys you won me over. I'm going to go watch both D2 and D3 now, because.
Just keep in mind they're kids' movies.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen them since like '94.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah.
D3 did not make my list. I didn't think it was any good.
Okay.
But D2 did. I thought they trimmed some of the characters I didn't like from the first movie.
They maybe got rid of 8 but added 4.
Yeah, so that's a +4 in my book.
I just like I only watched the trailer for D2, but I like the trailer because it was like they're back, and then it's like with some new characters.
Actually, isn't D2 the film debut of the Mighty Ducks jersey, the NHL Mighty Ducks jersey?
Did it precede the actual Anaheim Mighty Ducks? I don't know.
No, I think Mighty Ducks came out, but
It
they're wearing
you're right.
District 5.
Yeah,
with
spoiler alert, between the second and third periods of the championship gold medal match, they switched from Team USA jerseys to the actual Mighty Ducks jerseys.
Wait a second. I'm sorry, but okay, forget it.
Yeah, no, it's
So you had your...
it's like a Notre Dame situation.
You had your different categories. Yeah. I put my categories into 2 categories: real movies, and movies and not real movies.
Okay.
So now we're in the top 5. These are movies that I consider real movies.
Okay.
So Young Blood, regardless of what one thinks about the quality of it,
sure,
it's a real movie. Like, adults would go and watch this, and you'd either like it or you wouldn't. But it has real movie stars, and it's a real movie with real dialogue and real people doing real things.
No argument. No argument.
But all my complaints about it are still valid. It's silly that it ends with a fight and he's like throwing bales of hay around, and it's just whatever.
Rocky.
All right.
Are we going down to 4 now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 4, I said Black Ice.
Okay.
Directed by Hubert Davis. Documentary. And I'll read what it says on the thing because it probably says it better than I could sum it up. It says, exposes the history of racism through untold stories of black players. It also talks about the CHL, which is a colored hockey league in Nova Scotia, and Herb Carnegie, and one of the greatest black player that never got signed to an NHL contract. It's pretty fascinating. Also gets kind of heavy at times because they interview a bunch of guys, recent guys like Subban and Dumba, a couple other dudes I'm blanking on right now. But you should really check it out. It'll give you some insight into black players playing hockey, how far it dates back, the innovations that black players came up with. Just a whole bunch of stuff that I'm sure nobody ever knew. Like, most people don't go looking up, like, unless you're black, you don't usually look up black hockey players. So fair enough. Like, it's fine. But, it's something that I do. Like, I'm curious to, like, how far back do we go playing hockey? So it's something that I think people would get a kick out of, if just from a point of, like, history, and to know, like, where these players kind of, like, where they were born from.
I've not seen it. And like I said, I didn't include documentaries, but it's going on my list.
Sounds like one we need to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
It's awesome. It's an awesome it's an awesome documentary. It's fun. It kind of breaks it into, it gets kind of like exciting at some points.
Your number 4, Zach?
Number 4 is where I put Mystery Alaska. So we've now hit it all across the board. I thought about in post moving it up to like 1 just to really get under your skin.
Sure.
But I don't have it at 1. I have it at 4.
As soon as you got the
the grimace on his face.
There's
when
so
I got
many
there.
one-liners in that movie that should be great that I roll my eyes. So, like, I was watching it last night, and there's a scene in court where I think Burt Reynolds says to I told you I don't want to hear any more about a hockey game, and the lawyer says, "I'm sorry, Your Honor, I'm fat." I was just like, come on, like, what?
I feel like Burt Reynolds had his Boogie Nights look on every movie in the 90s. Like, so he
was great in it, though.
Yeah.
All right, Mystery Alaska.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Sudden Death for all the reasons previously mentioned. Love Sudden Death.
Love it too.
All right, number 3. Now we're getting into it.
So good. Okay, so number 3 for me, number 3 is Goon.
Same.
And I think it's an amazing, I know it's all about fighting for the most part, but it's this amazing story about this character study of this guy who really it seemed like he was going nowhere, and he found his purpose. He found his thing in life, and that thing happened to be fighting in hockey, though. And it gave him this purpose, and he found love through this thing. I just directed also by Michael Dowse, written by Jay Baruchel. I like the line, "You've been touched by the fist of God."
I think my favorite line is, "Don't touch my." There's 2 rules: don't touch my Percocets. Do you have any Percocets?
And he said it based on a Doug the Hammer Smith, and I believe he write a book or someone wrote a book about him. And that's what it was kind of
not sure
loosely based off of.
It's like it feels like an unrealistic storyline, but it's not because it actually happened. Like
that's
happened
funny.
to this guy,
yeah,
right?
it feels totally real to me. So we left out one movie on our honorable mentions about movies that have hockey in them. Happy Gilmore.
No.
Isaiah had it.
You did? Okay, sorry. Yeah. This to me feels like if Happy Gilmore
kept going,
was written by an adult for adults. No disrespect to Adam Sandler and people who I love Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
But it's not a serious movie. It's silly. It's a comedy. Goon is also, I suppose, kind of a comedy, but it feels to me like
it's a comedy, but it definitely had a story also.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just about jokes, even though there was obviously some funny moments. Yeah.
I felt like I gotta stop calling him Stifler because that's so rude.
Sean William Scott.
Sean William
SWS.
But that's just a testament to how much I loved American Pie. But Sean William Scott, I felt that he nailed a hockey player. Like he was very sincere and very real in what he was doing.
But even though the sequel is called Goon: Last of the Enforcers, and I haven't seen Goon in a while, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels to me like Goon, the movie, is very much about the vanishing role.
Yeah.
And him capturing it, it's like this may be the last opportunity for someone like him to have a career like he
And I mean, the sequel literally is called Last of the Enforcers, right?
Yeah. Wow. Like that makes it a little deeper. But again, that's why I
really like Goon.
And it had, like a George LaRocque in it. So actual, one of the best of all time at that role was in it and involved in it. And that was cool.
My number 2 and 3.
So we all agree that Goon is number 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you guys are both going to agree on number 2 or number 1, whatever.
I think 2 and 1 are could be interchangeable.
I think we're going to have the same 2.
But I think I will have them in reverse order from you guys.
Oh,
let's see.
Maybe not.
So number 2.
Number 2 is Miracle. Okay.
Not for me.
Jesse just goes, man.
I think I might be with Jesse on it. Yeah.
Well, okay. We'll get to that. Okay, but here's why. Gavin O'Connor is the director. He also directed Warrior. He did a lot of sports films. It's a tearjerker. It's inspirational. My buddy actually played. Patty Dempsey plays Mike Aruza.
Hey, we had him on the podcast.
Oh, you guys? Okay, amazing. Yeah, Patty's amazing. It is. If you want to run through a wall, watch this movie. Like if you want to get up for something, watch this movie. It's an amazing hockey movie and an amazing true story. There's nothing bad you can say about it, for me at least.
Totally agree.
It's so good. The pace of it, the excitement of when they're studying the film of the Russian players, like even that is like it gets you into this, like these guys had a plan, and they enacted their plan and they did it. There's nothing more I can say about it. It's an amazing movie.
It accomplishes the task of being a sports movie, an ensemble cast, a historical, a biopic, a relationship movie. Like the dynamic between Herb Brooks and his wife is fantastic. And she's probably in 6 scenes. Yeah. The dynamic between Herb Brooks and
Craig Patrick.
Yeah, thank you. I was blanking on his name. Great. The play, I mean, it's obviously my number 1.
Yeah.
I think it's the best sports movie ever made.
Okay.
I love Miracle. I think Miracle's
my
fantastic.
1 also, top 3 for sports movies for sure. Only movie on this list I saw in theaters.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. And they only Hollywoodized it a little bit. Like for the most part, everything was true.
Yeah.
There was a couple things that they made for the movie, like the sprints ending was not real. But like, I feel like it told arguably the biggest triumph in U.S. national sports history.
I agree.
In a really great way. And educated, like for me, I wasn't alive when the actual event happened. So it educated another generation in a really cool way on like this amazing thing that happened.
And they went out of their way to set the scene at the opening of the movie, right? Like to give you historical context. And it's just
like our team was crap.
Yeah. And Kurt Russell's fantastic.
Oh, he's amazing.
I mean, it's just,
he's amazing in everything.
Even the
true
title card at the end, it's over. You know, this film's in memory of Herb Brooks. He died, 3 months after principal filming. He never saw the movie, ... And then they fade in, he lived it.
Yeah.
Even that's like, it's an unbelievable.
You chills, like your hairs stand up. Yeah. It's definitely one. Like I said, if you need to get up for anything, watch that movie. Like you will be inspired.
So then that means that your number one hockey movie of all time is Slapshot.
Yes.
Okay. Because it can't be anything else.
Yes. And it is.
That'd be a wild twist if it was something else.
It is.
If it was HE double hockey.
Yeah.
MVP 2.
I believe MVP 2, he's a skateboarder, I think is where that franchise goes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay. So, I mean, it's infinitely quotable. I mean, you can't say this stuff now, of course, or at least not in the company of people.
We're not saying it with the cameras on.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. But it is so quotable. It is so good. The camaraderie is amazing. I mean, the Hansons aside, everything else, even if they weren't in the film, it would still be an amazing film to watch. You would get this sense of these guys getting on this bus and their fan club, their booster club, following them around. You know, this minor league hockey team, and like little do they know that their owner's trying to sell them. You know, like it's so good. And let me get some facts. Two-time Best Director George Roy Hill. He won for The Sting and Butch Cassidy, I believe. He also directed Funny Farm, The Sting.
Okay.
It was written by Nancy Dowd, who she was uncredited for White Nights. She also wrote White Nights. She wrote two episodes of SNL, and she was also uncredited on North Dallas 40.
Okay,
so
that's impressive.
Couple tidbits of information there. Each character is truly they are so unique, and they stay in it the whole time. It's what's his name? I forgot his name, but his real name is Brad. I forgot his last name, but it's the gentleman who can't stop talking about all the women they're going to meet along the way.
Yes.
He is phenomenal.
So, fun fact.
Yes.
Did you know that one of the Hanson brothers played for the LA Kings?
No, but fun fact, I know the Hanson, Mark Hanson, I believe his name is. I know his son, Chris Hanson.
Okay.
Who
unfortunate.
Who I've hung out with several times.
So Steve Carlson played 52 games for the LA Kings in 1979-80.
Okay. That's awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah. So the reason for me that Slapshot is number 2 and not number 1,
okay,
is that I grew up like every hockey fan. Well, I shouldn't say that because I grew up in Southern California, not in Canada or Boston or New York or whatever. But in a world before the internet, in a world before YouTube, in a world before streaming, you had to watch Slapshot. And I don't remember the first time that we ever got our hands on a VHS copy of it, but it was like handed down as religion.
Yeah.
And it was, you will love this movie. If you love hockey, you will know everything about this movie. Every conversation for decades of my life was through the lens of this movie. And I got to tell you, I'm tired of it.
Fatigue?
Not just fatigue, but like
fatigue is the only reason.
If we want hockey to evolve and move forward, we have to break away the amber that has encased the idea of hockey. And that's why I bring up the Luke Robitaille appearance on Arsenio Hall, and why the fight that ends Youngblood. It's like, yes, Slapshot was great for that period of time. We are now rapidly approaching 50 years after the fact.
And
but that is what the game was when the movie came out.
Yes,
sure.
That's what
like things in that movie.
But it is the year of our Lord 2024.
Like the scene where he goes into like that actually happened. Like these are things that happened.
There was a real
in real hockey.
Oglethorpe. There was a
these are real guys.
Yeah.
I get it. The movie came out before I was born. I'm in my late 40s. Miracle was an actual true story, not an adaptation of a collection of true stories pulled from a million different teams and a million different chaotic leagues, et cetera, et cetera. Listen, and don't get me wrong, Slapshot's number 2. Like, I'm not trying to say we need to get rid of it.
I get it.
We may need to find something new to worship.
Couple other things, though.
If we
couple
wanna
other
grow the
facts. The goalie, Hannarin.
The French-Canadian?
No, the other goalie for the other team.
Oh, okay.
He was the villain in The Last Dragon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What now, Jesse?
One more minor complaint about Slapshot. Sorry, and I know I'm blaspheming against. Like,
you're really attacking your own number 2 after
it's
just up-talking your own number 4.
Also, wait, can I just one more?
Yeah.
Okay, there's also a character there that I believe the one of the artists for Marvel Comics based Wolverine's facial hair off of.
Oh wow! Okay.
Wow.
Does that change anything?
No. Okay. Listen, it's great. I'm trying to listen to this to the song. Ned Braden, stripping his jersey, everything.
That scene filmed at the Utica Memorial Auditorium, where I had my first job in professional hockey.
Does that change anything?
None of this.
Yeah.
Listen, there are a dozen.
Ever think of that?
One of my favorite lines is when the sports announcer is interviewing Ned, and he says, like, now you're a college-educated young man, and you've chosen to go into this prison. Like, why? Why blah? And he says, I hate my father. That's the answer. Like, there's a million great lines. The fashion show
that's the best. Starts
sequence.
with that.
But like the movie itself, as a movie, if I tried to show it to my little sister who doesn't care about hockey and who is not charmed by the fact that this is what hockey was in the 60s and 70s, I'm not sure that the story itself, the characters itself, the actual movie itself is compelling or engaging unless you are already into hockey and have been told you
disagree.
will love this movie.
I would too, because it is a time capsule of that period. It is in and of that period. I mean, it really is. Like even the slang that they're saying.
But a very small piece
Well, like
of that time period.
I have friends who don't really care about hockey or certainly weren't diehards. Now, maybe not the level of like your younger sister, but like people my age who are sports fans, not hockey, liked Slapshot.
Ages ago we started a second podcast, me and my dumb hockey friends, and we decided that every episode would have like a theme.
Okay.
And I think one of the first ones we did was, I want to say like defensiveness or something. I can't remember what it was, but the idea we came up with is that hockey fans are incredibly defensive. I
would agree with you on that.
We are hyper aware of the fact that nobody cares about our sport.
Yeah, I get my back up real
easy.
Yeah. And I think that anytime, and I think there are some people who have very cleverly, cynically manipulated this fact, anytime hockey pops up in a pop culture thing, you can bet that hockey fans will love it, defend it, and incorporate it into their life.
Yeah.
Even if they don't actually love it.
Right.
It's just like, got to go to bat for my sport.
So growing up, I was told, and I still see it repeated, Slapshot's the greatest hockey movie, it's the greatest sports movie of all time.
Well, I won't say that.
I just think there may be woven into our collective love for this movie is like, oh, it's a movie about hockey, and we all get, it's our language, it's our code, it's
I'll give you that.
Everything. Again, it's number 2. I still love it. It's still fantastic. I don't know. That's all.
I mean, I don't know. It's my number 1.
All right,
it's
that's
staying.
fair.
It's staying number 1.
Well, you're
like
outvoted
I said,
2-3 or 2-1.
I'll run off some quotes to you when we get off the mic.
Yeah. Well, none of us will get in trouble for it.
Right.
And listen, it's it's Paul Newman. It's
right.
It's excellent.
Yeah,
and it spawned arguably one of the worst hocky movies. Slapshot 2.
Yeah.
Well, what is your number 1 sports movie?
Oh man!
If I could pin you to the spot with no research,
yeah, I would have to say
have to go back a little.
It's an old one, but it's a tearjerker. It's Brian's song.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's probably my
I remember I wanted to rent that one time at Blockbuster when I was like 12, and my dad just like, no, you don't.
Yeah,
It was like,
yeah. You want to talk about heavy?
yeah.
That's it. And then I don't know. Like I would say The Longest Yard, but the original.
Yeah,
that's up there.
Have you ever seen the British version of The Longest Yard?
No.
Mean Machine?
Oh, no.
It's really good.
No. Victory also is another sports
excellent movie.
That was a
Sylvester
good one.
Stallone.
Would North Shore count?
I'm unfamiliar.
Did you ever see North Shore?
No.
You never saw North Shore?
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, come on, man. This kid from Arizona, he's like surfing on wave parks and stuff, and he goes to Hawaii and wins like some crazy championship.
1987?
It's ridiculous.
Somehow I missed it.
Yeah, it is as ridiculous as Youngblood, and that's probably why I like it.
It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, no, I never saw North Shore. I mean, there's a million movies that you know what? Actually, just this is going to annoy everybody.
Uh-oh.
My favorite sports movie is Whiplash.
Oh,
Whiplash.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which, for those who are unfamiliar with Whiplash, not a sports movie at all.
I know why you say that.
And yet,
yeah, I get that.
Totally a sports movie.
I get that. Yeah.
I think we're going to wrap it up. We're reaching an hour. Isaiah Thomas, literally straight. Sorry.
You'll edit that out.
I was just talking to Ted Sobel about Isaiah Thomas. Sorry.
I got a funny story about that.
Isaiah.
Yes.
Thank you. Literally off of a plane.
Yes.
You landed an hour ago?
And came straight
an hour
here,
and a half ago?
Came straight here. And then I got to see some boys on the ice.
Yeah.
Or where my son's going to play hockey.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How old is your son?
He's 1 and 16 months.
I just met him for the first time today.
Yeah.
Straight off of an airplane. Delightful, all things considered.
And then Zach directed his mom toward the pro shop wisely. Thank you.
Got the pro shop, got the little cafe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great spot.
Yeah.
By the way,
if she really needs it, there's also
oh yeah,
best cookies you've ever had in your
why would
life.
you say? Oh man,
they're
incredible.
Solid. They're solid.
I can't eat for a little bit, but man, I might have to break that.
Or just buy one, take it home. You don't gotta eat right
Okay.
Better restraint than me.
Zach Dooley, thanks for. Sorry, I didn't say featuring Zach Dooley.
That's okay. It was
Zach
implied.
Dooley. All right, Isaiah Mustafa, thank you very much.
You got it. Yeah.
Wrong about number one, but right about everything else.
I got 2 words for you: Mystery Alaska.
Thanks for watching, Kings fans. We'll talk to you soon.